The Marvel Universe has created some of the most powerful and iconic fictional characters over the years, and Black Winter certainly takes the trophy home for being the most powerful antagonist the Marvel Universe has ever cultivated. Black Winter made his appearance in the second issue of Thor, published in 2020 by Nick Klein and Donny Cates. Although he was initially mistaken for an eldritch terror, it was much later that the real power and motive of the consumer of universes was revealed. In the beginning of the fourth issue, Galactus, who was the consumer of planets and was later heralded by Black Winter for the next multiverse, spoke of the arrival of a certain Titan who was obsessed with death and emanated a snow-like black frost energy. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is the Black Winter? Black Winter is a supervillain who appeared in 6 issues of Marvel Comics, out of which 3 of his major appearances are in the issues of Thor by creators Donny Cates and Nick Klein back in 2020. He is simply assumed to be the greatest villain ever witnessed in the Marvel Universe, as he harbored the power to devour universes. The entire 6th cosmos of the universe was absorbed by Black Winter, leaving behind Galactus, or the Gallon of Ta, as the sole survivor of the destruction. In order to save his life, Galactus, the Devourer of Planets, struck a deal with Black Winter to be his herald at the next multiverse. But when the new multiverse, or the 7th cosmos, happened, Galactus broke the deal and went on with his ravages across planets until everything was cut short by the arrival of Black Winter, who had infiltrated the Prime Marvel Universe to proclaim his herald, Galactus. Black Winter disguised himself as Thor Odin's son to catch hold of Galactus, who was horribly injured from the fight and had escaped to Asgard while he exposed his evil ice to Yggdrasil, the World Tree, causing it to contaminate and die slowly. Black Winter could change his form and stature at will, and has the power to disintegrate everything by a simple touch. He once showed Galactus a vision involving Thor, where both Galactus and Black Winter were killed by him when Thor devises a plan to use Galactus as a living bomb to ultimately tick off the Black Winter's demise. 2 birds with 1 stone. Black Winter as a character was so powerful and iconic that even after his death, his presence could be felt in the ripples around the Marvel Universe. His existence, even after his death, emanated so deeply that one tiny piece of Black Winter got to Thor and plagued him with devastatingly morbid visions of Thanos wielding all the Infinity Stones along with Mjolnir, while delegating a full army of Marvel zombies. Even while being fully dead, the Black Winter successfully spread around his fair impact of fear and darkness. What happened when Thor fought the Black Winter? In the end of the 4th issue, Thor became Galactus' Herald of Thunder, and both him and Galactus were left staring at the approaching Black Winter, ready for the most iconic and universe-shattering battle of their lives. The 5th issue began with Thor and Galactus getting ready to battle the Black Winter, while we take a closer look at what went down on Asgard as well as the other places of the universe. The comic even mentions that Lady Sif, the Watcher of the Bifrost, witnesses her king being absorbed by a great cosmic plague while she just stood there, unable to assist or to look away. Following this, we see that Beta Ray Bill is whispering a prayer beneath the slowly dying World Tree, after which we witness Loki from worlds away as he plots another turn of the wheel without even being sure of the game or its players. Furthermore, on the next page, we see Sif tell Beta Ray Bill that she could not see or figure out where Thor was. It felt like he was lost to her and didn't allow her to open a bridge or help him at all. Sif then added that no crown in the world could change that Thor was a foolish and bull-headed prince. She further rages by calling Bill out for defending Thor even after what he had put him through. But Bill confirms that Thor did not choose to be king, and no matter what went down, Bill believed that Thor would rise back to it. This conversation was barely the calm before the storm, as right after, we are faced with the very eye of the storm where Thor and Galactus are facing off Black Winter. Here, Thor fights the Black Winter blindfolded, as looking into his eye would make Thor witness his own fate and see the form of his true death. This entire thing had the potential to mess up someone's mind in rather cryptic ways, which is why Thor had to go into battle with the Black Winter blindfolded. As Thor and Galactus continue to fight the Black Winter, Thor hears something he has never heard before, but recognizes it immediately, as it was the sound of the end, the last choking breath of the universe, and the voice of all death. The Black Winter then turns to Thor and addresses the god of thunder, while Galactus continuously asks Thor to keep fighting the Black Winter instead of listening to what he has to say. The Black Winter addresses Thor as the All-Butcher and the End God, while Thor corrects him, saying that Winter is mistaken as he had never been given such dramatic titles. The Black Winter interrupts Thor with a huge blast, asking if he wanted to know how he would meet his demise. Then the Black Winter continues to consume Galactus, while Thor is still trying to hold it off. While all this is happening, the comic mentions the Star Plagues, the Rock Blizzard, and the Great Black Winter dissolves all that crosses its path. The Black Winter and its incessant hunger will completely infect the light within, be it sun, galaxy, or man. From the center it burrows, from below it devours, and it corrodes all that there is. As Thor tries to fight it off, he says he will not fall and looks at the Black Winter as if trying to consume him, and just like that, Thor is taken to a mysterious place with completely blacked out eyes. The Black Winter again asks the same question to Thor, if he wanted to see how he would die, but Thor ignores it and challenges Black Winter to face him. Black Winter replies that he is facing Thor, who should be aware of the fact that he cannot be defeated no matter what, and consistently mentions that he is being offered the gift of truth. Thor screams back, saying there is no truth to be gained from anyone that speaks from behind the shadows, using illusions to hide. Thor challenges Black Winter by saying that he is neither afraid of him nor the End. Black Winter responds to this by throwing Thor into a pillar, assuring that even the End wasn't afraid of Thor. When Thor wakes up from the blow, he sees Gorr the God Butcher staring at him. Thor couldn't believe his eyes when he also sees Loki and several other characters he had faced off against over the years. While Thor tries to comprehend what he was seeing, Black Winter further mentions that this was exactly how Thor would meet his demise. To this, Thor doesn't rest easy, and continues to fight these illusions with his hammer, while Black Winter keeps at it by saying that Thor has had so many ends, from the Beyonder to the Serpent, Ragnarok, Annihilus, burnt, atomized, crucified, unmade, and then ultimately he met what was supposed to be his true end by sacrificing himself to bring light to the darkness at the end of time, while he was one-armed, one-eyed, back-to-back with his brother against the Butcher. But for Thor, as Black Winter mentioned, the wind had changed, as someone was killing his destiny and breaking his fate. Black Winter again provoked him with the offer of showing him how everything truly ends, and while he manipulates Thor, he's doing his best to fight it off. The comic then tells us that Thor knows in his bones that Black Winter spoke the truth, as he had felt the change in the air ever since he had ascended the throne. At this point, Thor is totally fed up and angry, which fuels the king of Asgard to channel the ancient rage of all the gods onto him, and, with the scream, he pleads with Mjolnir to help him push away the End for one last time. With this came a huge white blast which came to be known as the God Blast. After Thor disperses the Black Winter with his God Blast, he asks Galactus if he was still there with him, to which he replies that he is going to see it through the very end. Thor again turns back to the Black Winter and asks him again to show himself instead of hiding. Thor challenges Black Winter to show him his end and see if he even blinks through it. Although the Black Winter agrees, before that he disguises himself as Thor. Thor then asks Galactus if this is the picture he had seen when he looked into the Winter Gallon, which Galactus affirms. This gives a very subtle indication right away that it was at Thor's hands that Galactus met his demise. The Black Winter then proceeds to call out Galactus and asks him to reveal the truth of how he was the sole survivor after the death of his universe. Thor interrupts this conversation, screaming that he has had enough of Black Winter's crap, and no matter what happens, he would not allow the death of his universe. Black Winter laughs it off and explains that he wasn't there to devour Thor's universe, as his world had darker fates in store than being consumed by the Black Winter. He was rather there to reclaim Galactus, who is a herald himself, but not just that. He is the herald of the Black Winter himself, thus ending the 5th issue with a major cliffhanger. The 6th issue of the Thor comic begins in the near future of the Golden City of Asgard. In the throne room of King Thor, we see the Silver Surfer, aka Norrin, hovering into Thor's throne room. Thor chugs down ale and greets Norrin, who came to see him after the battle, as there were rarely a few in the galaxy who could not feel its drastic effects after Thor's thunder roaring through the vacuum along with the Bifrost, as nobody can look past the new additions to the architecture. Thor just sits on his throne, drinking more ale and nodding to Norrin, who then proceeds to offer his service to Thor, who had isolated himself after the battle and has not spoken a word of it. Thor interrupts, saying that nobody has ever seen what he has, which is why it was his thing to carry forward and move on. Right after this conversation, the comic kicks back and picks off right where the last issue's cliffhanger left us off, with Galactus calling the Black Winter a liar and the Black Winter affirming that he never lied about Galactus being his herald, as eons ago, Black Winter had spared his life only in exchange of Galactus' service. It is further revealed that Galactus didn't accept this fate and ran away from the clutches of Black Winter, who kept searching for him for eons until he found him with Thor hiding in his doomed universe. Black Winter even mentions that he had given Galactus powers beyond imagination, but now he has come to collect, thus blasting Galactus right into the moon. When Thor refuses to be a prop in between Black Winter and Galactus' rift, they get into a fight where Galactus blasts Thor with his cosmic power. Fortunately, Thor is able to hold Galactus' blast at bay with Mjolnir and calls him out for using Thor as a pawn in a battle that had nothing to do with him, along with shaming him for all the power that he has stolen over the years by devouring worlds. Thor rages in thunder and calls Galactus the errand boy of a hailstorm, blasting Galactus back with his own power. After this, we learn that Thor had taken up all his power, just like he had taken the power of the cosmic that was held inside Galactus' shell before. This shows a magnanimous moment where Thor has fully stripped Galactus of his power, the mighty power cosmic. Galactus, even after being defeated, keeps fixating on dealing with Black Winter together, but Thor shuts him off, saying that he'd deal with Black Winter himself. Galactus responds to this by raising his hand to fire blast Thor, who simply fires back with his thunder and lightning. Thor then chucks his hammer into Galactus' chest in revenge for all the planets he has destroyed, which leaves Galactus half dead, still alerting him of the Black Winter schemes. The Devourer of Worlds is finally outmatched by the God of Thunder. After Galactus was fully dealt with, Black Winter finally came down to bid his gratitude to Thor and to reclaim Galactus so he could finally leave this universe. Thor aggressively prevents the Black Winter from taking anything from the universe, who says that his fight isn't with Thor or his universe, as he had simply come to collect what was his. To this, Thor mentioned that Galactus now served Thor, and then lifted up Mjolnir to turn Galactus into a living cosmic bomb. The effect of this was so deep that galaxies away, children woke up screaming to the sound of thunder, which was heard crashing into the void, and then beyond it. Lightning and burning inside of it was the full might of the immeasurable power cosmic, the bleeding life force of the universal constant, the energy of 100,000 worlds, all of it unleashed by a god-made king. Thor made Galactus into a power-packed, immeasurable cosmic bomb to kill Black Winter, thus fulfilling the prophecy that Thor would in fact be the one to kill Galactus. After that, Thor used Galactus as a bomb to kill the Black Winter. The comic ends saying that in the falling ash of the Black Winter, amidst the graveyard of the World Destroyer, Thor stood perfectly still even at the end of everything, as we witnessed the only ash left of the Black Winter fall into Thor's hands. But before the ash disintegrates, it says to Thor that irrespective of this, he has won nothing, as his end cannot be stopped. And then the Black Winter shows him how he meets his demise, as his final ash withers away. Following this, we are taken to the present time, where we see that Thor has taken Galactus' helmet and is using it as part of the architecture of the Bifrost, which is what the Silver Surfer was referring to earlier when he was talking about the new additions to the architecture. This takes us back to the throne room, where Thor is still talking to Norrin, the Silver Surfer, who asks him what he had seen in the vision that Black Winter had shown him. The answer is the picture of a power-hungry Thanos wielding Mjolnir with the Infinity Stones imbued in it on one hand, along with his son's gauntlet in the other, which has the ability to change the very fabric of existence while having full control over an army of Marvel zombies. Thor, however, exclaims to Norrin that he saw nothing but darkness. Is the Black Winter stronger than Galactus? Galactus is the devourer of worlds, whereas Black Winter is the consumer of entire universes. Black Winter is the truest form of death to ever exist in the Marvel Universe. He had consumed the sixth cosmos and heralded Galactus, who was the sole survivor out of his fiasco after the destruction of his multiverse. Galactus has mentioned time and again that he needs to be well fed and attain an incalculable measure of power before even coming face to face with the Black Winter. All it took was just one encounter with the Black Winter for Galactus to turn almost into a corpse sent flying into Asgard. He is by far the most powerful supervillain ever in the Marvel multiverse. Although he did meet his demise at the hands of Thor, the god of thunder, and the king of Asgard, his ashes still managed to leave behind a very deep impact on Thor, who was plagued by the inevitable darkness that was to come. Black Winter could be considered as death itself because of his insistent need to consume universes and mark their ends. He was unstoppable until Thor blew him up by using Galactus as a living, breathing cosmic power bomb. What makes the Black Winter so powerful? The quirkiest characteristic of the Black Winter would be how it appears distinctively to each person that sees it, mostly because it simply takes on the form of the individual or compels them to witness the onlooker's demise. The Black Winter can change its form at its own will, and is also able to generate eldritch darkness, made of black frost and snow, which disintegrates everything that comes in contact with it. If all of this were not enough, the Black Winter can also create entities in an individual's mind by forming realistic illusions. This multiversal comic behemoth devours entire universes while being omniscient, omnipresent, and an overall unstoppable force. Let us know about your thoughts on this iconic Marvel antagonist who consumes entire universes and marks itself as the truest form of death. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.